The next thing is dialing in your commission-based compensation plan so that it's attractive from a candidate's perspective. Let me get some water. See if we have any comments. We can help you. Okay. All right, Brando's doing his thing. Thanks, Brando. So dialing in your commission-based compensation plan so that it's attractive from a candidate's perspective. So let's go through some compensation ideas. Okay, some foundational things to understand first. Your opportunity isn't as sexy as you may think. Okay. Now that may sound kind of funny or stupid to you, but I want you to be more aware of this than anything. Okay, so let's say, first off, if you just look at the US alone, technically, what is there, 25 to 30 million companies? Most of those companies are doing less than $1 million in revenue. Okay, so that's the norm. Okay, most of them are small businesses. Most of them don't, have branding. There's not a lot going on yet, right? And so they're at that smaller initial phase. And let's pretend I'm a smaller business, and my opportunity is a B2B sales opportunity where there's no leads, there's no training pay. And when I say the whole leads and training pay thing, I'm just kind of trying to give an example, not necessarily saying all this stuff applies only to that type of opportunity. But I'm trying to give you an example of how to think through things correctly, if that is clear. But let's pretend I'm a smaller business. I'm a solo owner. I have an office manager. That's all that I got. Me as a solo owner, we sell B2B services or something like that, right? And I make really good money. And I'm a good salesperson. I have been for the last decade. But I'm ready to step up my game from a business perspective and scale up a sales team. And I want it to be a commission-based sales team. Okay. And the nature of the commission-based compensation model results into reps, not being able to make money for 30 or 60 days because of the nature of the sales cycle in this B2B role. Well, what I want to do is I want to be aware of, okay, we're a smaller business. We don't have this massive brand. There's not a lot of successful reps, here. So from the marketplace's perspective, we don't have much going on. And on top of that, we're pitching an opportunity where you can't make money for 30 to 60 days. In reality, when a candidate goes through the recruiting process and they look at all the other opportunities out there, yours could potentially not look as attractive to the majority of others. And so it's important for you foundationally to understand that. And also to understand that that's not necessarily a negative thing. Every business that's crushing it, that has the reps, that has the brand, that's making the money, right? All of those companies started in the same place. And so what's really important for you to know, assuming you got the recruiting process, the comp dialed, the onboarding, the training stuff dialed, you can make up for all of that, lack in how small you are, how there's no reps maybe producing. And I know not all of you are solo business owners, but I'm trying to illustrate a point. But you can make up for those maybe things that are lacking from a candidate's perspective with pumping more volume through your recruiting process, because the more volume that I have, the more likely I am to persuade people into our opportunity. You can also make up for maybe the lack as a small business owner by getting great at the persuasion aspect of recruiting. The truth is 95% of the businesses and your competitors specifically, they suck at recruiting. Okay, so when you're a commission-based opportunity or organization and you become freaking great at recruiting, it immediately puts you on a different level. Okay. And what's really cool, when you're great at recruiting, even when you're competing against companies that offer the leads, the benefits, the salaries, or whatever it is, although we still help companies like that, what happens is because you're great at the volume, the screening and scheduling, getting in front of the right people, pitching the dream in the group interview environment, closing them up in the one-on-one, you make up for maybe the lack in brand, how there's no reps, how you guys are not doing a ton of revenue, right? You make up for those things because of the expertise of pumping volume through and persuading people into your opportunity. And then also you start to make up for this in the retention side once you've dialed in the rep experience around management, onboarding, training, and those kind of things. So my point is you want to be mindful that, hey, be in reality. Maybe your opportunity is not as attractive as you think, and start to understand, hey, I need to pump volume through my recruiting process, and I need to get great at pitching it, helping candidates know the truth that because you've been doing it for a long time. You think your industry and opportunities the greatest thing since sliced bread, but candidates don't get that until they're making money with you yet. And so it's your job to persuade them to work with you and help them understand that your culture, the industry and how it's unique from a sales career perspective, the company story, your unique personal story, the plans for growth in the future, how they can be involved in that, the sales model, the income potential, what top people make in the industry, the plans for growth into leadership, right? Because we're a growing business. You need to help them understand that all those things offset maybe some of the lack that they say at face value. So you can get them to say, yes, I want to work with you. And then from there, you provide them a good experience and get the average Joe or the top person to have a good enough process and experience so that when they do the activities, they see success and get the income coming in. Now you're crushing. Now you're building your organization. Okay, so you make it up with the volume, getting great at recruiting and getting great at the rep experience after you actually get somebody to say, yes, I want to work with you. Last note before we dive into like 6 different types of comp plans is you got to be okay with working with what you have and improve from there, right? So your budget is your budget. Your brand is your brand. Your opportunity is what it is. Your lack in maybe sales process or onboarding or training or management systems, all those things are normal. You got to be okay with saying, hey, it's okay that it's not perfect, but I need to take the step forward. I need to start recruiting and I need to dial in these systems so that I can actually get to the end result instead of maybe staying small or not actively recruiting the reps that I know that I desire to scale up my company. But what I'm trying to say is be okay with what you got, with what you're maybe lacking from your perspective, and start somewhere, right? Because you're going to have to go through the learning curve regardless of who you are to get the team, to get the dream team. But to go back to the recruiting, thing, even within our client base, right? We've served over like 1,000 clients. We recruit over 1,000 commission-based reps for small businesses all the way up to Inc. 500 companies, like I was saying. We do have a lot of companies that are in the same markets and the same industries with similar sales models. And we'll have 2 companies in the same industry, same market, similar sales model. One company will have a small base with leads and benefits, and another company will maybe be, 1099, self-generate and close your own deals or door to door, right? As an example. And, based on some of the things that I've said now, you would assume obviously all the candidates would want the benefits, the base, the leads, and this other guy's probably going to have more difficulty. But really, that's not necessarily the case because this guy is better at the group interview, better at the final interview, better at the rep experience after he gets somebody to say yes to working with them, and therefore they're actually doing better. Right now, if that guy was over here, maybe he's going to do better here. But my point is you can make a lot up with your skill set in recruiting and team building, even with a commission-based opportunity. Hopefully that is clear. But here's 6 different types of commission-based compensation plans. I'll get some water. Some of these are pretty, standard. There's a couple that I'm going to, kind of focus on a little bit more that are typically most interesting to our type of client who's an all commission opportunity, but is also interested in maybe improving the compensation plan without hurting their budget and risking the cash. So number 1 is all commission, no training pay. You get that, right? It's just an all commission, straight up, sales job. Next one, all commission plus onboarding bonuses. All commission plus onboarding bonuses. And so what this is bonusing the rep based on what they're doing at the beginning phases of the job. So to go back to that example when I was talking about the blueprint new hire checklist thing, I gave you a random example of it taking 30 days to ramp up into that position and reverse engineering those numbers so we can understand Monday through Friday or whatever the days are necessary to work, what those activities look like leading up to that success of $1,000 per week. Okay. We talked about those details. What the all commission plus onboarding bonus pay is it's rewarding reps as they go through that and make the small accomplishments leading up to the end of the blueprint. So as an example, let's say that, in week 1, to be on track for that $1,000 plus per week, income at the end of 30 days, one of the high level things that need to be accomplished in week 1 of the blueprint is, by Wednesday, they're on the phones and they're setting XYZ amount of leads. And by the end of Friday or Saturday, they should have set, 10 appointments. Okay. And if they do that, I know they're on track for the end of the 30-day piece that we're pitching, right? They're on track for the blueprint. And the blueprint is clear that do A, B, and C Monday through Friday. And at the end of the week, you should have your first 10 appointments set. What the all commission plus onboarding bonus pay is rewarding the rep as they accomplish those things pre-revenue, so they can start to collect income a little bit more quickly. Now, there is a little bit of a risk here from a cash investment standpoint, but what it does for the hire, what it does for your recruiting process, it allows the candidate to say, hey, I can see making money more quickly, which is good. That helps you in the persuasion aspect of recruiting. And also, by the way, 50% of all our clients, they're that first one. They're all commission, no training pay. So that's more of the norm. But as you go down this list, at the top, it's least financially risky for the client. From the candidate's perspective, the most riskiest. As you go down this list, it gets more comfortable or more secure for the candidate and more of a cash risk for the company. But what the all commission plus onboarding bonuses pay is it's rewarding them as they're trying to scale up into that blueprint. And maybe I want to do that as a business owner because I'm okay with rewarding them if they set their first 10 appointments or whatever the metric is in week one, because I know naturally, because the amount of appointments, we're actually going to maybe get one sale out of it. And I want to reward this person for doing the activities, and I'm okay investing into them, even though their first closes may not be for until like week 4 or something like that, right? Hopefully this is clear. I'm just talking about a random example. My point is the all commission plus onboarding bonus pay is compensation that aligns with your blueprint. You're rewarding them as they're hitting the metrics within the blueprint so they can start to collect money more quickly than maybe the traditional commission-based comp plan that would exist in your industry. Okay, not required, but it's an idea. It's a really popular one for the clients that we help that come in all commission and are trying to close the gap on the income for the candidate. That's not necessary, by the way. Let's say, our opportunity, you can't make money for 30 days. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have to change your comp plan. You just need to know that, hey, because it's harder to ramp up for the new hire, you're going to have more attrition. You just make up for that for recruiting volume. So it's all the same stuff, but you got to figure out what's best for you. The next one is all commission plus delayed training pay. Okay. So to give you an example, this is what we do for our closer position at SRU. In short, a rep has to produce their first 2 sales in month 1, 4+ sales in month 2, and 6+ sales in month 3 to be on track for our 12-week blueprint. And what we do is we reward them for hitting those high-level sales marks. At the end of 30 days, if they close 2 sales, we give them a $2K bonus. At the end of month 2, if they close those 4+ sales, we give them a $2K bonus. At the end of month 3, which is at the end of their 90-day or 12-week blueprint, if they close their 6+ sales, they get a $2K bonus. And we've paid them an additional $6K in the first 90 days as they're ramping up into their income. And by the end of 90 days, they're making $8K plus and rolling from there. Okay. Now that is a cash investment, but for us, I'm okay with that because I see sales coming in. I know they're on track for success based on the bare minimums that we expect, which were those 2, 4, 6 numbers that I mentioned earlier. And therefore, I'm okay with investing that money into them. Now, is it necessary to do that? No, I don't have to. Would I probably have a little bit more attrition? Most likely. But for us personally, we like that, and that's what we do. Very similar to the onboarding bonuses pay, but it's just delayed and it's easier to track. To backtrack, the onboarding bonuses pay, if you're bonusing them through the blueprint, you got to make sure that you're tracking that stuff and not screwing that up. You never want to screw up a new rep's pay. The last few are all commission plus draw against commission, right? If you don't know what that is, that's just, hey, you have a maybe a long-term draw or a short-term draw for 2, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. And let's say it's $300 a week or $500 a week or $750 a week, whatever. That is training pay for the rep, but it goes against their commissions, right? So let's say, we have $500 weekly training pay for the first 8 weeks, a draw pay for the first 8 weeks. And in week 1, they, compared to the compensation plan to ideally illustrate the math, they technically make $500 in commissions. Well, that's not going on top of that 500 because it's just, that draw is eating it away. Now, if they made $1,000 in commissions and I'm paying them a $500 draw, they're not making $1,500 that week. They're making $1,000, right? So the draw is just, it absorbs future commissions, but it's a risk. You could pay that and a rep doesn't work out, and if you paid that out for 3 weeks, you just lost $1,500, right? So as I said earlier, these start to get more risky as you go down the line. Next one is all commission plus standard training pay. That's, whatever your weekly or biweekly or 30-day pay is on top of commissions for whatever time period. Maybe I want to do training pay for 2 weeks or 90 days or whatever it is. That training pay is on top of the general commission plan. Pretty simple. And then the last one is a small base plus primarily commission pay. Maybe I pay a 20 or 30 or 40K salary or something like that, but the role is primarily commission based when you look at what they should be making annually. Okay, so at the top, least riskiest to the candidate, most riskiest to the candidate, least riskiest to the company. And as we go down the bottom of this list, those things reverse. And what's really important to note too is that there's ways to improve all of these compensation plans, regardless of which one that you're in, right? Ways to improve comp plans could be, hey, once you get up to quota, you're going to get leads. Or, hey, once you pass your 90-day period and you're at quota, you're going to get benefits. Or, hey, what's most common for our clients is they lay out a really objective path into advancing into the company. Hey, once you accomplish this over a 6-month period, you qualify to transition into sales leadership. So there's all sorts of ideas that can make the opportunity be perceived in a totally different light for the candidate, which can help the persuasion and the retention aspect of recruiting.